welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about some books that I really, fingers crossed, I would really like to read before the year is over. So first of all, if you haven't been keeping up with my Goodreads, which I very much so recommend to do, the link is down below. If you haven't been catching up with my Goodreads and me and my whole person, I have been in a very bad reading slump since March. Since like the coronavirus pandemic began, a lot of things in my life just kind of went tits up, and so reading wasn't one of my priorities. It wasn't a passion that I felt that was ignited, whereas now I definitely do. And one of the reasons for that is the Wayward Children series. I have read the first 3 of them, which are here, and I would also really like to finish the series and get to the last 2 installments before the new one comes out in January. So these 2 installments are In an Absent Dream. This series is basically about children who kind of tumble across these doors that lead them to worlds that resemble Wonderland, like Alice fell down the rabbit hole, and they go into these magical worlds of like nonsense or high logic, and then they're coming home to the real world and wondering what the hell has happened. So they basically go to a school for wayward children, which is run by a woman called Adaline, who was herself a wayward child. Basically, these installments, very short installments, are following the children that come across these doors and are wondering how they get home again. I will talk about the rest of my opinions of the books in a recent reads like wrap-up video I'm going to be doing, but for now this installment is all about Lundy and also Come Tumbling Down, also by Shauna Maguire, of course. I don't know who this follows. I think this is following Jack and Jill again, which Down Among the Sticks of Bones, the second book in the series, also did as well. This is kind of like an afterthought of that. Each of these installments kind of like differ between a prequel and a sequel, so I think they're going back and forwards. So the first one was like just the first book, and then the second one was a prequel, and then the third one was like more of a sequel. This one's more of a prequel, and I'm guessing this is more like a sequel. So it keeps on going in that kind of pattern, and I kind of love it. I love it. I don't really have a preference between whether I prefer the prequels or the sequels, but I love them all the same, and I really would like to get to both of these and finish the series by the end of the year. Next on my list of books I would really like to get to by the end of the year is a very popular book right now in the bookish community, and that is The Invisible Life of Adaline by V.E. Schwab. This has been absolutely everywhere for me. I'm not sure if it's the same for you, but this has been absolutely everywhere for me on bookish social media lately. This is basically about a young woman. I think it's a historical fiction, but it's about a young woman called Adaline who sells her soul to the devil for immortality. But obviously, like any deal with the devil, there is a cost to it and a price that Adaline must pay. So although Addie is living forever, every single person she comes in contact in her immortal life forgets her instantly as soon as she walks away. They forget her face, until one day a boy remembers who she is and remembers her name. I have been so excited to read this, and it is a chunker of a book, but when I heard the premise I just couldn't help myself but to purchase it and to give into the hype. Maybe I won't get round to this by the end of the year because it is so chunky, and I have kind of restricted my reading to smaller books because my reading slump is just, that's how it works. I love to read small books so it feels like I'm achieving more. But this is an absolute chunker, and I think Scribd is getting it on audiobook on the 20th of November, which is perfect timing for the end. Which is perfect timing for an end of November read. So I'm hoping that I'll get round to this by the end of the year. If not, there's no trouble. I can just read it in the early frosty months of 2021, but I would really like to get to this by the end of the year because it is so hyped for this year, and I want to see what the hype is about. Next we have one that kind of does depend on me reading it in December or at least late November, and that is The Afterlife of Holly Chase by Cynthia Hand. This has been profusely recommended by Emma over at Emma Books, and I feel like I've now mentioned her in both of my recent videos, but she just has the best book recommendations, and I really would recommend going and following her and subscribing if you would like more. But this one is very much so a Christmassy read, as it is a retelling of Scrooge. Basically, we follow our main protagonist Holly, who is visited on Christmas Eve by 3 ghosts. They try to tell her and show her how selfish that she's been and how she will end up if she continues to be this selfish, in hopes that she stops to be this toxic person. But unfortunately Holly doesn't listen, and so she gets Scrooged. She dies, and now she is stuck working for Project Scrooge, which is essentially being one of the ghosts of Christmas past. And it also says on the blurb, so far Holly's afterlife has been miserable, but this year Scrooge is about to change everything. I think this is going to be a really interesting tale on a classic, and I haven't really ever imagined a retelling of Scrooge before, and I think this is going to be really interesting. I've heard nothing but good things about it, especially from Emma and the rest of the bookish community. It is relatively short, I will not lie, and it's very festive and Christmassy for this time of year. I feel like it's going to have a really good message and maybe a good romance too, maybe, potentially. I really am excited to get to this, and I hope that I get to it in time for the Christmas season. Next on my list we have a little bit of a mystery thriller, which isn't really usual book taste for me, and that is The Husband's Secret by Leanne Morier. names. I don't know what names are. I actually found this book's existence through the same video that I found The Wayward Children, but I can't remember for the life of me who it was or like the link or anything to it. If I can find it, I will link it because it was a good video. But this and The Wayward Children series were both in this booktuber's video about how to get out of reading slump, and her recommendation for me to read The Wayward Children series helped, so I guess I picked up the rest of the books in the video that she said would help me. So this book follows a mother and her children and her husband, and one day I think that she is cleaning out the family like basement or like attic or something like that, and she finds an envelope which is titled "Open in the event of my death," which is written in her husband's handwriting. Obviously the woman is tortured by curiosity, and she opens the letter to find her husband making some very bad, terrible confessions to some terrible circumstances he had a part in. She needs to decide between saving her family and staying silent, or bringing the crimes, I'm guessing, or the situation that he has participated in to justice, or whether she wants a plain sailor life and just to stay quiet about it, and it will change her relationship with her husband and her kids for the rest of her life. I was mostly interested in this because my boyfriend was watching the video with me, and he just got really excited about this book. I bought it because I kind of wanted to read it for him, to tell him if it's good and worth the read. But I also am really interested in this myself because obviously I want to know what the secret is, but I'm really scared of thrillers and stuff like that because I tend to just predict the plot before it's even like had chance to flourish or anything like that. So I don't want to be disappointed by this, but I think I'm gonna try and give it a chance by the end of the year because I'm really interested in it. And look at this cover. The cover is beautiful. I like it. The next books on my list, again, are not essential for the rest of the year, but I would, in an ideal world, like to get to the rest of them. And that is the rest of the books on my shelves by Cassandra Clare, that I have not read yet, of which these include the entire Dark Artifices series. So that is Lord of Shadows, Lady Midnight, and Queen of Air and Darkness, which is a huge book. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, realistically, I'm probably not gonna get to all of those. If I could get to one of them, that would be great. But my thinking is that if I read those 3 books by the end of the year, I would be able to restart the Shadowhunters series next year, but I could just restart them anyway. I want to get through all of them though, and this is like the last little leg of the marathon. So no pressure on that, but I kind of would like to in an ideal world. The next book on here I actually have been buddy reading with my boyfriend since we first started dating, and that is Scythe by Neil Schusterman. Yes, I know this is a very big cop-out for a video like this, especially because I talk about this book to no end on my channel, but here we are again talking about it. Just because me and my boyfriend got 19 chapters into this, 201 pages, and we just stopped reading it because a certain plot twist happened. I'm sure if you've read it, if you're watching this and you've read it, I won't spoil it for you, but if you have read it, then you'll know there's a plot twist about halfway through the book. And we just stopped reading because I feel like my boyfriend liked the character that the plot twist happened to, and so he has no motivation to carry on reading. I just can't wait to see how he reacts to the rest of the book, and I just need him to continue reading, and he isn't, and I really would like to finish this by the end of the year. I really want us both to finish this by the end of the year. So if you don't know, Scythe is basically a 3-book series, so it's a trilogy. It's called the Arc of a Scythe trilogy, and it basically centers around a distant future world where death has been conquered in order to kind of like control the size of the population, and also in the information that is stored in the Thunderhead, who is like an all-seeing, all-being robot thing which kind of like looks over everyone. There are these people who are just kind of ordinary citizens who have just been given authority, called scythes, who glean the rest of the population because they need to mimic actual death. I really enjoy this series. I've read Scythe, I think this is my 3rd time, maybe 4th time. Thunderhead 2 times, and The Toll only once because it's the newest edition. Yeah, I would really like to finish this year, even if I read on and he doesn't want to read it anymore, that's chill. But I really would like to finish this again because I love the series, I love the characters. I'd love to reread the rest of the series as well. Last and certainly not least, by hype, by length of novel, last on my list is Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. This again is quite a big book, which is why there aren't that many books on this list. I could have really piled them on, but realistically I know that I won't be able to read more than maybe 1 book a week, and 8 books where 1 of them or 2 of them are the size of this is probably not doable. But hey, again, it's not one of those things that I'm going to be like forcing myself to do. I am just trying to get back into reading in a pleasurable pleasure of it, and just kind of picking up books that interest me and have been interesting to me for the past couple months. So Ninth House has had quite the response from the bookers community. Some people have said that it's slow, others have said yes, it's slow, but also it is really good and worth the wait. So I believe that Ninth House is all about this secret society at Yale University, and we follow Alex, who is one of the people in that said secret society. And in this society they tend to practice necromancy, which is basically raising and talking to the dead. And I am extremely excited about this because I love anything paranormal, I love anything witchy, and have a lot of spirituality in my personal life as well. I own crystals, this is just my shit, okay? And I would love to get to this by the end of the year, because it's that time in the year that is extremely dark and you just want to curl up with a book, and I feel like this is going to have the atmosphere and the storyline and the characters that I really want. I do appreciate that it's really big, and I've heard from multiple sources that it is extremely slow, but I am happy with that. I really would like to delve into this and see if I like it or not and come up with my own opinions. Well, there you go. There are just some of the books that I would like to get to by the end of the year. Obviously this is like a very loose TBR, I've already said that, but it's a very loose TBR, and I feel like I just want to read books that I'm interested in, and by talking about those books that I'm interested in, I thought it would A, influence you guys in what you want to read, and B, also influence me in actually being held maybe somewhat accountable for the books that I read, and also just talking about the ones that I feel passionate about, so that I have like more of this passion to read that I've been going off for a couple of weeks now. But yeah, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know, thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a lovely day the rest of the day wherever you are. I hope you enjoy your day, and I hope you enjoyed the reading that you get done. See you next time. Bye!